Younger Community Board, just because of the grassroots work that you get to do in the communities and you get to experience. So when I say that I look forward to working furthermore with our community boards, I really do mean that when I say I want us to look at that delegations workshop we had before the selection, where we looked at what powers could we actually give from council down to community boards for them to take over, because it's actually better off for our communities to have that power at this level here. I actually mean it. If it comes with the budget that's attached with it at a council level, Janice is probably like, hang on, wait, but then we do need to look at those things, because there are things that we can do, we can pass on to community boards, and I think they'll do a much greater job of representing our communities and making those decisions. So I will be putting that on the books for council once we finally get sworn in, to look at actually giving you more powers and to empower you to do better for us, because if the community board's working well, council's working well, then our district is going to be so much better for that. So good luck with your swearing in, good luck for the next 3 years, and just know that myself and Deputy Mayor Kelly Stratford will always be here to support you as community board members. Kia ora.
So thank you for that. So we'll head into the next item on the agenda, which is apologies, and I do believe that we have one member who's not able to be here today. Joshua, could you just formally record that absence, please? So in terms of the next stage, what's going to happen is I'm going to call you all up individually in alphabetical order of first name. We have the certificates here for you to sign. They are in Te Reo and English, whichever option you would prefer to make your declaration in. And we also have a Bible available if you want to do it with a Bible and do one that way. I am the representative of the CEO. Unfortunately, he can't be here today. So I will be signing the certificates on his behalf as the appointed person to sign them. So without any further ado, I will kick off with Amy, please. That's the certificate. Choose which way you wish to make your signature. So do you sign this one? Sign this one. You need to read that. Oh, okay. Formally read that with that correction.
Okay, I'm going to try do it in Te Reo. Ko aho, ko Amy Slack, oaiti ai ki runga I te pono me te tika ka mutu ki te taumata a tōku atamai e āku whakataunga. Ka mahi ai mō te painga o te hapori o te Bay of Islands-Whangaroa, haere tonu ki ngā ihi me ngā herenga mahi. Ka pā ki roto ka urihi ki runga ki ahau he nema o te aore o te hapori o Bay of Islands-Whangaroa. E ai ki te tori kāwanatanga o te rohe, rua mano mā rua. Te tori kāwanatanga o rohe mō ngā kōrero whakamohio me ngā hui ngā kōrero kotahi. Mano I warau waru te kauma pitu. E tāpiri atu ki ara ata o ngā tori raini. E mea whakau tēnei ki kirikiri I tēnei rā rua te kau whiringa anuku I te taurua mano rua te kaumārua.
next up, could I ask Belinda to come up, please?
I, Belinda Ward, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interests of the Far North District with powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as member of the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 and any other act.
Okay, next could I ask Bruce, please? I'll just put it on the table.
I, Bruce Knowles, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interest of the Far North District the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, Local Government Official Information Act and Meeting Act 1987 or any other act.
Congratulations.
Bruce. As far as logistics, if you don't mind, we're going to have pictures in between, headshots, paparazzi. So when you finish, come to this side, and then after your picture, sit on that side, if you don't mind. Thank you. Bruce, do you mind coming on this side, just so we know that you haven't had your picture done? Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Casey. Next, could I have Lane, please?
I, Lane here, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according with the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interests of the Far North District the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 or any other act.
It's understood. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Could I have Roddy, please? Just read the declaration, whether you want me to read it or in English, and then something.
Wahurungu Roddy Hapti Pima Gautia. Ia Kirongai Oma Mikitika Kamututa Kitamata Otokun Atambai Meapu taunga ka mahi ia o te painga o te hapari o pewhairangi ki Whangaroa. Haere tonu ki ngā ihi te ngā haerenga mahi kāpa. Papa i roto te uihi i rongo i a hau te mema o te au o te hapari o pewhairangi ki Whangaroa. Ia ki te ture kāwanatanga a rohe rua manu a rua te ture kāwanatanga a rohe o ngā kōrero. Whakamohi o me ngā huihuinga kōrero o tahi manu ua rua hori te kau ka whitu te taipu. Tāpiri atu, era atu o ngā ture rāni. Mea whakau tēnei ki kiriki, tēnei rā. Rau te kau, whiringa, a nuku, ki tau rau mana rua te kau mā.
Congratulations. Last but not least, Tyler.
Start as you mean to finish. I'm hoping to improve my reo by the end of this training, so I'll bear with me, please. Ko ahau, ko Tyler Bamba, ko Aoati, ai ki runga e te pono me te tika ka mutu ki te taumata o tuku atamai me aku whakatonga. Ka mahi ai mō te painga te hapore o Islands-Whangaroa, pare punu ki ngā ihi mi ngā herenga mahi. Ka pā ki roto, ka uruhi ki runga i ahau he mema o te poare te hapore o Islands-Whangaroa. I ai ki te tori kawanatanga a rohi rua mano mā rua. Te tori kawanatanga o a rohi mō ngā kōrero whakamohio me ngā hui hunga kōrero ko tahi mano iwa rā waru tekau mā whitu. Me tāpiri atu ki era atu o ngā tori raina. He mea whakau tēnei ki kiri i tēnei rā rua tekau mā ringa a nuku i te tau rua mano rua tekau mā rua.
Congratulations. Okay, so we'll move into the formal agenda now, so I'll just move down that one.
Congratulations everybody at the table on your swearing in. Now starts the fun part. Is the nomination of the person. We go over that with the agenda and it sets out how we are going to select a chairperson through a nomination. And so I'm going to open the table to anybody who has a nomination for a chairperson.
I'd like to nominate Linda.
Second that.
Belinda, you're happy with that nomination. Can we have a voting on, is there anybody else that wants to open up any nominations for chairperson? If, can we have a, I think it's unanimous then. Shall we just have by a show of hands if everybody's happy with Belinda? So there's a majority. Unanimously. Belinda, are you happy to take on the role as a chairperson?
Thank you.
Welcome to the role, Belinda.
Thank you.
The seat hasn't been held for too long.
No.
Belinda, you can take over the meeting from here on.
Thank you. You can stay with us. I'm quite comfortable just here. Would everybody like yesterday afternoon was a printed copy of the meeting? Amy, yeah. Do we have a printed copy for Amy? Thank you. Welcome everybody. It's an honour and a privilege to be back here at the table and to see that I have a majority of new members on the board, 4 new members out of 7 of us this term, which is very exciting. And yesterday was a mind-blowing day at Waitangi in Paihia and also over at Russell. So for those of you who are there and assisted in organising it, hats off. I don't think it could ever be replicated in my time. And my 42 years of living in Waitangi, it's only 1 or 2 occasions that we've actually been up there with it. So just acknowledging all of that. I would like to go back and start with our meeting karakia, please. We ask that through the board's discussions and decisions, the representatives elected may advocate on behalf of the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa community with aroha, imagination, skill and wisdom to achieve a fairer and more united community that enhances the well-being of the community and solves the community's problems efficiently and effectively. I don't think I need to call for any conflict of interest. We don't have our agenda today, and we don't have any public forum for deputations. I will move formally the apologies of Jane Hindle, our new Russell Opera representative. She had pre-booked long ago a trip to Fiji, which coincided with. So I'll move that. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Lane. Thanks, Casey. So we've done item 6.2, the election of the chairperson. I will formally move that the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board use system B as the preferred voting system to elect a chairperson. Elect Belinda Ward as chairperson for the trade union. That has been moved by Body, seconded by all those in favour. That was unanimous. Carried. We'll move on to item 6.3, the election of the deputy. The recommendation is that the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board use system B as the preferred voting option to elect a deputy chairperson. before I put B, I will just leave that any expressions of interest from members. Would anybody like to nominate a deputy chairperson?
I'd like to nominate that.
Okay. Do you have a seconder for that? Thank you, Tyler. Any other nominations for deputy chair?
Yeah. I mean, sorry.
Support Lane. That appears to be unanimous, so I will move B that we elect member Lane Eyre as deputy chairperson for the triennium October 2022 to October 2025 in accordance with standing orders. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you.
Can you move over here?
Just before we move on, staff have asked if in between proceedings and at the break we have to have photos done, so you'll be directed to where your photos are going to be done this morning during proceedings and afterwards. Lane, you have to leave early if we're not finished. Can I request that you actually are the first in line to have yours done? So
Or you go during the meeting.
if you need to go to it. Right, so we turn to page 16 to item 6.4. That the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board note the report explanation of laws affecting elected members and the advice provided at this meeting. Do I have a member? Thank you, Rose. Amy, thank you. Carla? How are you here to speak to us on this?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Good on you.
Yes, great. Do you mind if I have a seat with the chair?
Certainly, yes.
I'm here to bring the tone of the meeting down a little bit, so my apologies. But that's why I'll sit so that everyone can feel a little bit more comfortable around this topic. So you've got in front of you a PowerPoint, which I'm not sure is going to be reflected up there. Not to worry. I also have got a handout for you as well. So you can follow along on either of those two pamphlets, and I will speak briefly. Introductions, Carla Ditchfield. I manage the legal services team at the Parnos District Council, and I'm here to give you your briefing on members' interests. So just letting you know of the areas of certain acts that have contravened what those penalties are, but of course no one here will do that, so we don't need to worry. But essentially, one of the fundamental principles of acting in local government, which the Local Government Act 2002 prescribes, is that we conduct our business in an open, transparent and accountable manner. So that's the way in which we represent our communities and base our decisions and liaising with the community on. So the acts that I will speak to you about today are the acts that bring that to account, to make sure that we do continue to operate with that open accountability and transparency for our Parnos District residents. So on your PowerPoint, the first page it lists the 5 acts that I'm going to talk to you about today. There are an endless amount of legislation which we operate under that does restrict our business to some point, but the 5 that I'll speak to you about are actually the 5 we are obligated to preach on today because it's in the Local Government Act that we must do that. If you have any questions around any of the provisions of these acts, what we'll do is we'll liaise through Nick, your community liaison, and I can answer any questions after this today or on. It's a lot. It should be a celebratory morning, really, for you all. So the first act is the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act, and there are two prongs to that act, and it's around the management of information. One of the biggest points to take home is that official information is everything that we hold in council, and every member of the public has the right to request any of that information, and we have under the obligation to pass that on in our open and transparent way of operating in the community. So what I would you to heed is that every conversation, text, email in your business as an elected member can go to the public. So anyone can ask what conversations did Carla and Belinda have the other day? I'd like to know a little bit more about that. That's all discoverable, that we share all that information. Okay, so in your acting as a member, even if you use your personal email or your personal phone, if you are acting in the capacity as a community board member, that's all discoverable. That can all be shared. So just keep in mind when you are operating in the role that you have, when you're texting, emailing, talking on the phone, anything like that is official information that can be called upon, and that's about being open and transparent in the community. Okay? So that's one aspect of this act. The other aspect is the information we deal with in meetings. So as you know, all of our agendas are available to the public, the reports are available to the public, our meetings here today are available to the public, so all that information is out there, and there's some nuances and provisions in the Act that help to manage that. And we won't go through those in detail today, but just know that that Act exists and those provisions are there, and I can certainly pull out and highlight and email those to you to have a run through if you ever want more detail on that. The second Act is the Local Authorities Members Interests Act, and there's two main provisions of that Act that we need to know about. The first one is that you cannot act as a member if you have a pecuniary interest in any entity that contracts with council and that would receive more than $25,000 any financial year. So if you're receiving some sort of benefit through contracting with council that exceeds that amount, you cannot actually sit as a member. That would be a conflict. The other part of that Act is around when you're at this table and you are having a discussion around any thing that you have an interest in your personal capacity, the most appropriate way to deal with that would be to remove yourself from the discussion. Maybe even remove yourself from the room, and you can't vote on anything where you would receive a benefit of some sort from that discussion or report, and it could be anything. Pecuniary means can take any form, a gift or advantage, favour, not just a money value. So if you have a direct interest in a discussion that you would benefit from as a member in your personal capacity outside being a community board member, you won't be able to be involved in those discussions or vote. Just as a side note, there's a very colourful handout there which we found, which is a really great flow chart, because conflicts are sometimes hard to know if you're conflicted out. And I mean, if you are someone that's involved in many different things outside of your role as a community board member, often that conflicts arise and you don't realise. So that flowchart just gives you some really great examples of what conflicts are, and it leads you through to a yes/no path of, oh, yeah, no, I've got to take myself out of the discussion. No, I'm not conflicted. I can remain a seat at the table. And if you ever have any questions around, am I conflicted here? Let's go through NAC. You can ask legal directly. The most appropriate way is to go to your chief executive and have a conversation with your CE, but we're also here as well to offer you some guidance around conflict. So, It's outside any gain that the public would also gain from, so it's you personally as a separate advantage to that in which the public would receive as well. Yeah, we can have more detailed chat whenever you're free if you like about any conflicts that you're not sure about. Yeah. Great, okay. The penalty for contravening that is immediate loss of office. So you'd lose your position, unfortunately, and a small fine on conviction. But let's now move on. Crimes Act, lovely act to bring up, isn't it, at this time of the day? Under the Crimes Act, you are an official in your capacity as a community board member, and there are two aspects to this act. And one is that you cannot accept a bribe or a gift or a award or seek to obtain some sort of a reward in your capacity as a community board member. So when you're dealing with the public and you're having these open and honest discussions and talking about providing funding to different groups, you cannot operate to receive a personal, clip the ticket in order to, in your making of those decisions. So Section 105 talks about attempting or gaining reward for yourself or any other person acting in your official capacity. Okay, so that's for you or your family or people you might know. The other nuance to this act is also it's an offence to use or disclose any information to obtain a reward for yourself when you're making decisions as a community board. So basically, bribery and corruption don't do it. That's the underlying factor there. The penalty is quite severe, imprisonment of up to 7 years. The Secret Commissions Act, very old piece of legislation, 1910, very short piece of legislation. It has crossover, low-level crossover with the Crimes Act. So what really that act talks about is making sure you don't use your position to advantage you, your family, or your friends, basically. Okay. Just briefly, I'm going to outline the things that we shouldn't do acting in our capacity against this act, and that is acceptance of gift or inducement. You have a duty to disclose a pecuniary interest. So if you are, if you do have other personal roles outside of the community board that may be of conflict, we do have a duty to disclose that. It doesn't mean you have to stop acting in that capacity, you just have to disclose it. Falsifying documents, receipts, invoices, contracts, and things like that, or interfering with the proper business. So you're trying to obstruct or divert the business of this council with intention. So those are the types of things that we cannot do as acting members, and again, that attracts a penalty of up to 7 years of prison. Yes.
Inside this capacity, I'm a board member, but in my other capacity, actually community chairman.
Yes.
And so, if my community needed to approach the board for, say, water source, get it hit or something inside the reserve, how does that affect?
Right, so your group can bring that to the table, but the most appropriate stance you could take is not enter into the discussions or vote on whatever it is you're going to vote on, and you'd sit in that neutral space. That way you're not being seen to be biased, because it would be so hard not to, wouldn't it, to sit there and really want something for your community and keep the blinkers on and be involved in a discussion without that perceived bias. So to be absolutely sure that you'd be neutral in that support, you'd have to just sit and not vote or have discussions around that. But it doesn't stop your group, your community, from bringing their business to the table and letting your fellow community board members have that discussion. Does that sound fair and reasonable?
That was my idea anyway, was to not resign the seat, but any time that my community was considering going to the board, and I would remove myself as the main chair and place the vice chair in that position, and remove myself from the
Yes, that's perfect. That's how you should act.
Just a gathering committee, not just a board, but also listening.
Yes, yes.
Just a question. We sit here representing communities. We're not divorced from that.
No.
We get so the line between when we discuss or I understand refusing oneself on voting, but the line between discussion, because if I'm talking about Kyo, I will get Bruce to tell me about the situation in Kyo. He can't help but do that. Kyo, but we do talk on behalf of our wards.
Yes, yes, you do.
We advocate, in fact, on behalf of our wards.
Yes.
So there is a bit of a line there. I can understand accusing myself of organisation and Kiri is maybe funding or something.
Yes.
But I certainly would support that organisation.
So yes, and my discussion with Uri here is with Roddy, I'd made the assumption that there was an interest that he was receiving from that group. So you mean your community in general? Okay, sorry, I thought you talked about a special group that you were chairing, that you had an interest in. Yes. Right, yes, okay. So depending what you're bringing to the table would depend if you're conflicted out, yeah. But I support your view, Lane. The specifics we could nut out if there's ever a query about conflict. Community in general, absolutely. Sit at the table, speak to it, no problem. If you're drawing an interest of some sort from a particular group that's coming to the table that you're a part of, a specialised group where you have an interest in that, that's when the conflict may arise. Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't clear. I'd made an assumption in answering that question.
Just want to sort of follow on. Sorry again. So,
yep.
I own the Pioneer in Waipapa. It's a relatively prominent business in Waipapa, which presumably could potentially benefit from 90% of the things I end up trying to push for Waipapa as their representative. So how do I dance along that line?
Yeah, not an easy one.
Yeah.
But I think we need to look at it on a case-by-case basis and look at the direct relationship you have with the discussion on the table. And that's a really important discussion I think we'll need to have through your chair, the CE, or with legal if necessary. But yeah, it's hard not to. We're in a very intimate district, large but intimate, because we have so many interactions and interests in our community. And so this is the tightrope that we do walk. Don't be afraid of it, just be aware of it, and we can have those case-by-case discussions as we go. Yeah. But when it's a direct interest for you, your spouse or dependents that rely on you financially, that we would have to look closely at. But we certainly don't want every member removing themselves from a discussion on the table. That's not the point of it at all. Really great you've got this awareness going. This is really good. But let's have finer discussions around that too later. Yes, Chris.
Yes, so as you just said, we've all got strong interest in just about everything in our small community, such as Kyo and Whangaroa.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just about everything that goes on there, I've got some sort of involvement in. But I have a peculiar interest in these things.
Yeah.
So I'm speaking for my community.
Yes.
So I find that very difficult. That should be able to have a vote on anything in my area.
Yes. So if I could be clear, when I'm talking about interest, I'm talking about pecuniary. That's right. Yes. So yes. So that interest could be dollar value. It could be favours. It could take any shape or form. But it's an advantage, isn't it? Not just a happy feeling that I'm taking care of my community. Yeah. So the other word or the other way that you're interpreting interest is that you're interested genuinely in your community. That should not stop. That's why you're here. That's why you're at the table. So I'm talking about you're conflicted out when there's a pecuniary interest. So a reward of any sort that you or your spouse or those dependent on you financially would gain by you voting a certain way.
I'm the trustee of the Community Trust, which is an umbrella for a lot of the other activities that go on there. I presume Roddy's talking about.
Yes.
But of course, obviously, we put our time and what we're doing, and that sort of thing.
No, perfect. There you go.
Yeah, I think there are forms that will come if you haven't all filled them out, which you can actually declare what committees you are on and within your communities, and you also have the opportunity at the beginning of every meeting, if you're unsure, to actually declare what you consider to be any conflict. You know, whether you feel you've got a self-interest involved in something, or you're on that committee, and then we as a board and myself as a chair can decide whether you should be involved in that discussion, or whether you should perhaps post it in the room or set out of the discussion. So I think the pecuniary and the conflict, we're all conflicted in that. Yeah. And I think, don't think too hard about it, just think more sort of in self-gain monetary terms, and it's that clearer, isn't it?
Absolutely. Money, reward, advantage, you're conflicted. If it's just a genuine interest and passion for the community that you represent, where you're getting no reward from it, you should be sitting at the table promoting.
The hardest thing is the coffee and morning tea or lunch fights in public at cafes when somebody wants to meet with you to discuss something and they insist on paying you coffee. Like difficult, it's better to just very much. That's fine. Next time we meet, I'll buy you a coffee. Yeah. That's what it should come down to.
Yes, and I think what you've talked about there, Belinda, is perfect, because you will have a duty to disclose your interests. So disclose everything if you're not sure, because that will help the discussion that you might have to have with Belinda or outside around, am I conflicted here? Let's work it through. Yes, no, and then you can make the appropriate decision around the table. Yeah. Community board members, this is good. The last act in which I'll just alert you to is the Financial Markets Conduct Act. It deals in financial products, which this council hasn't really dealt with to date. May do moving forward, but just so that you're aware of it, this act was born out of consumer protection, and you are under this act, if we were to deal in financial products, you'd be a pseudo director in your role, and what attaches to that is personal liability. So I'm just going to very briefly say that if we were involved in dealing in financial products, we have a duty to make sure that the information and the disclosure statements that we send out about that financial product have to be accurate. They can't contain untrue information. And if they did, and someone suffered a loss from reading that information, all of you at the table would be personally liable for that loss, separately and jointly. But don't deal in financial products, Janice will correct me. May in the future. No, we don't. So, so you can relax on that one. Yes, yeah. That was born out of a lot of non-disclosure way back in the blue chip era. It shouldn't cut across you. I guess what I would finish on here is that the main thing is making sure that as a community board member, you're acting impartially in your decision making, and that there isn't a perceived bias that might come out of your decision making. You know, you're not there making decisions because you are receiving an interest or you're perceived to be aligned with a particular group. And that really is fundamental to representing your community, is making decisions from neutrality, not in bias. And if you have any concerns about conflict, and we're talking about conflicted because you're gaining a reward advantage, some sort of monetary value for you or your family, that's the real conflict there. But please ask more of those questions after today, through Belinda, through Nick, your liaison, if you have any questions. Because that'll help you make decisions with surety at the table and make sure that you're doing the right thing.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes.
I mean, it could be one for the others. My son is landscaping.
Yes.
If he's given a quote to some other site or whatever, that's put an application for it. Where do I sit on that one?
It's probably one step removed, but it will depend if you're a shareholder. No, or he doesn't financially depend on you. Yes, yeah. Yeah.
My husband can't do any quoting for any work at the primary school.
If you have knowledge that he is putting a bid in with others to a group that you're making a decision on, it would probably be best that you remove yourself in that example. And I'm only making the assumption that you carry the knowledge that he is quoting under a group that is coming to you for difficult, isn't it? Because we're an intimate community. Yeah. This is difficult. These are good questions to raise with Belinda when these reports or grant applications come forward. So
I couldn't imagine that there would be directly.
Yeah, it's a direct or indirect form. Yeah. This is where the difficulty lies. Yeah, it does make for a difficult decision around conflicts. But these are the conversations that we should be having around the table when you are not sure around your conflicts. Yeah. It in some ways, I guess it does seem a little unfair towards your son, perhaps, but he can still go about his business. You just have to remove yourself from that decision-making forum. But we have to examine how indirect or direct that relationship is for you to be able to remain at the table or not. Yeah. Sorry, I'm going to stop now because it needs to be joyous in your role here and what you're about to do for your communities. And obviously you won't even be delegating more powers according to Mayor Tupania. That's exciting for the board to make more decisions. There's no further questions. If you think of anything, please talk to your Madam Chair or Nathan. Thank you for your questions.
Okay, Nick is who you referred to is Nicholas Smith in the back there. She's your face and your go-to person. It's wonderful.
Great.
And so are you, Carla. Very important. Thanks very much for your presentation and answering those questions. We'll move on to item 6.5. Okay. Yes. So that item 6.4 was moved by Bruce, seconded by Amy. All those in favour? Yes. So that's carried. Moving on to item 6.5. Recommendation that the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board note the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community standing orders. I will move. Do I have a second? Yes. Thanks, Bruce. And standing orders is the booklet inside the section you were given, and it's very important that you read it. Jocelyn, did you want to speak to this as a
I just want to mention that the standing orders is the guidelines that we use to run the meetings, and here I'm here as the meeting administrator, and also my team leader Aisha is sometimes for guidance on any standing order. It's standard and it's what council has adopted.
There will be a workshop on standing orders as part of the induction phase.
Yes, there is going to be a workshop coming up. I think it's going to be in the Bay of Islands. It's going to be on the 3rd of November. Just to not taken for granted that everybody is what's the patients, but at least outline what's coming up on the 3rd of November.
That's pretty helpful if you want to take time out between now and then. Look through it and read through it. And the voting changes. I'm still sharpening my skills. It's a position to be in as chair. Sharpening act. Sure we can work out. We can have a little bit of a workshop pre-meeting ourselves. To not be afraid to move something. I think it's more the assumption of they move a recommendation. They stand as supportive. You can still vote. Please be involved and put it back and just speak to the hand up. So thanks, Josh, for that. We'll have a workshop on that in a week or two. Right, so that's item 6.5. I'll put that. I move the recommendation. Bruce seconded it. Those in support? Against? Move on to item 6.6. Just before I put the recommendation, I'll just note there is a correction in the 2 meeting dates proposed in the schedule. Thursday is not the 12th of December, it's actually a Monday. Just confirming, Josh, that that was changed to fit in with the council schedule.
Yes.
So the meetings will be Thursday the 17th of November and Monday the 12th of December, so that you can put those in your diary for the 2 days. I will put this recommendation. I'll move that the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Commission will receive the report of the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa schedule. Maybe big. Those in support. Yes. Item 6.7, page 20. Recommendation at the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board note the strategic plan is adopted by the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board on the 1st of September 2022. I will move. The strategic plan, thank you. So this is the strategic plan that you will have received a full copy online. You may not have had time to open and read your attachments. It's quite a lengthy document. This is basically it in your agenda. Excuse me. The board has, the previous board has been quite a bit of time putting this together. I think it's just important to know that it's a living document and that between now and Christmas I'm hoping from a senior level perspective, hoping we can actually have an update in December rather than in the new year, so we can the additions.
So through the chair, we can definitely look at workshopping it earlier. We'd like to take all the plans up at the same time, so both yours, Rebecca's, and possibly hopefully Hokianga's. And yeah, we had planned on doing that in the new year, as some boards are a bit further ahead than others. Unfortunately, you're one of the good boards that are further ahead than the others. So.
I guess my dumb question to you is, our strategic plan as drafted by the board, is it formalised for us to rip and do projects? Bearing in mind we're hitting the ground running, we're very keen to get stuff done.
If you have the funds in the council staff to go ahead and start doing those projects, I see why not.
Through the chair, I just want to mention that on the 3rd of November at the meeting with the each community board, we got a run through with the strategic plans. So Kim and her team are going to presenting and providing a little more insight into what the strategic plan stands for Bay of Islands and how it fits in the plan. So there will be a lot of information given at that stage.
So this is the board's document, all the information from the community that we have received through submissions from the long-term plan, which is done every 3 years, the annual plan, obviously annually, and RFSs, it's various avenues through associations and committees within the community who have fed into this, and that's where the document has come from. So you'll have an opportunity to add to it and have input into committees. So I will put that. I move on myself, seconded by Roddy. All those in favour? Against? Thank you. That day yesterday without water on very dry. So that brings us to the end of our agenda. Thank you very much. Dennis, for clearing us up. And we now officially can go out there and to receive complaints from our communities, which is really exciting and get stuff done. You will also be receiving your email links and your badge and your name badges, any business cards and things will be pulled out on the request books that 2 days ago. But we do know that there was Commissioner recirculated the emails. There were 3 attachments, but if you open the first one, it actually had 8 attachments in it, and that's where you'll find a lot of the documentation. Okay, so we'll follow up on that.
If we already have an FNDT, does that just roll over?
Yes. Okay, on that note, I will close for the code here. And in fact, I will invite one of you members who would like to close for the code. Roddy? Thank you.
Te karakia timata no te kapaputera. Para tira moku, because acknowledging our amazing karakia that started this process. Te mo ki o te hoku, community boards, Bay of Islands-Whangaroa, in the new position. So, you know that. Ako i te ko te me haringi te ko te mai ro mutu ka ko te timata ko ko e toku ka ne tanga ko e toku mato ranga ko e toku mutu ko e ai te vai au te ao mara mati e mai ora i te ne tanga ni te taka papa ni ra ko ia whaki ke ara ni papa ni mana ki te ia roto mato mai i te au te pui ruru ia mai te ti ruru ia mai te ta e hungi